Welcome back to Fox Eyes on the Hill Live this Sunday morning. You know, some government agencies have been pushing back on these latest emails to federal workers. Elon Musk, who's heading up President Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, wants federal workers to again defend their jobs. It's all part of Trump and Musk's efforts to overhaul the government and cut spending. This morning, our political panel is in the House. David Goodfriend is the Democratic advisor and president of I Street Advocates. Tim Parrish is a Republican strategist, and it's great to have both of you at this desk. We're going to get to DOGE in a minute, but we have to talk about what happened in the Oval Office. So you're first up, Tim.
Yeah.
You know, Republicans privately have been kind of saying, well, you know, maybe that didn't go the way it should. Publicly, they've been praising it. So what is the takeaway from that, you know, argument? There's nothing really else to call it in front of the press in the Oval Office the other day.
Well, look, Tom, so this is a very serious issue, right? No one downplays what's going on in Ukraine and how serious it is. I wish President Zelenskyy would also kind of exude some of that seriousness as well. You can't kind of waltz into the White House in a T-shirt and a pair of
why is
pants.
that? Why is that such an issue with everybody about what he wears? Who cares what he wears?
Well, you're walking into, well, first of all, you're how you look. I mean, why don't you wear that on TV?
Elon Musk walks around in a baseball hat and a T-shirt.
How you look is very important, but Elon Musk isn't asking for a ton of resources to support a war in this country.
Did that hurt or help? Because I think, even though people have been, you know, saying, wow, what a disaster it is, people are talking about Ukraine right now, which is something that hadn't been going on for months under the Biden administration.
Yeah, it absolutely hurt. Look, we have a saying in the South, you don't bite the hand that might have to feed you, and you don't burn the bridge that you might have to cross again. I think what President Zelenskyy did yesterday was burn the bridge with diesel fuel. I mean, you cannot act the way that he acted, and then issue sort of a threat when he said, you have a big ocean, but you haven't felt the pain, but you will later. Of course, that's going to trigger the president, and he's going to respond that way.
And that in particular set off President
Absolutely.
Trump. David, what's the fallout from this?
Well, that was the biggest case of blame the victim I've ever heard in a long time. Here's what really happened. We watched in real time as the United States of America switched sides in a war to join Putin, the dictator, and it was scripted and premeditated. Don't think for a minute that President Trump and Vice President Vance hadn't planned that out, rehearsed it, worked it. They had their lines good to go. President Zelenskyy walked into a trap. And what happened? Around the world, our own allies are starting to question the United States of America. This is not make America great again. This is make America shrink. This is the biggest retraction from the world that we've witnessed in our lifetimes.
But, David, there was reporting that said that people had gone to Zelenskyy before that meeting and said, look, this is how you have to handle this situation. Talk about the president, thank the American people, praise the president for all he has done on this issue, and all of that went out the window, and it set a series of motions.
Does anybody think, especially you, I want to ask you this question, would the result be any different had Zelenskyy said or not said anything? No. This was a premeditated attack by the president, and he's joining Putin.
The White House disputes that particular fact. They said that this was organic, and you saw it unfold. The president himself said it was probably some of the greatest television anybody ever seen. We'll see how that relates to the future of Ukraine, but people are talking about it again. I want to talk about DOGE.
Sure.
This weekend, we know there are more emails going out to federal employees, again saying, tell us 5 things you've done for your job. A lot of federal workers, Tim, who I've spoken to, said it's not only that you want to lay us off, it's that you're demonizing us. You're making us out to be somebody who's ripping people off. We're public servants doing our job. Can they do this downsizing of government without making people think that government employees are somehow on the take?
Absolutely. Look, Tom, I never wear black on TV, but I wore black today because inefficiency in government is dead, right? And it died on January 20th. Look, I don't think people are being demonized. Anytime a chief executive comes into a business, they trim the fat. They look for the major issues, and they trim back on the fat. This is no different. This is also an issue that's particularly isolated, I would say, to the Beltway. People around America deal with this every single day. They fight for their jobs. They keep their jobs. They have to, in fact, compete in order to keep their jobs. This is no different than what would happen in the private sector just about any day in America. I think what happens is people are used to the comfort and some of the stability that does come with government and having the union protections and all that kind of stuff. But this is no different than what happens in the private sector all the time, where people have to compete and in fact, keep their jobs by saying, this is how I contribute to the business.
There's a couple of things going on here, though. We hear politicians all the time talking about cutting spending, which public seems to react positively to. But there does seem to be a shoot first, ask question later aspect to all this. They're laying people off in some respects. They have to go back and ask them to come back.
Yeah, I think even Elon Musk said this at the first cabinet meeting that, oops, we cut all the Ebola people. Well, we got to bring them back. Sorry, there will be mistakes. I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, but I actually agree with the premise from earlier. This is sending a message. It's intended to send a message. Here's where I think it's going to get a little dicey for the president and for Elon Musk. Right now, agencies, including the Treasury, are being asked to hand over sensitive information to Elon Musk. Elon Musk does business with the federal government. If you compete, you're a company competing with Tesla, Starlink, SpaceX, your sensitive data is being handed over to your competitor who's going to use it against you. That's a whole other can of worms this is opening up. We haven't talked about that enough yet. American companies being shafted by the disclosure of their proprietary trade secrets to a competitor. That's going to come out sooner or later.
David Goodfriend joining us this morning along with Tim Parrish. Gentlemen, we appreciate both of you.